Now we're going to talk about using the budget as a community accountability tool. And in talking about this, we're going to talk about how we interact with our community to help make sure the budget has alignment with that accountability we're looking for and engaging them in the process. So one question to ask yourself is, does your budget reflect your mission? Does it communicate, at least to you, and you're an insider, you should know, whether or not this budget advances what you think you're trying to accomplish in your community? And if that needs to be clearer, then here's a great opportunity for you. Do you have a mission, a vision? Do you have broad goals? Do you have a strategic plan or some other way to characterize what you think is important in your community and what you're trying to pursue? And that would be what you would want to use to compare your budget to see how they do align and if that alignment is clear. This alignment isn't going to happen on its own. It's not something that we can let just sort of fall out from a budget development process. Instead, we use budget instructions to help make sure those who are putting the budget materials together understand that focus and are using it as part of their thinking as well in terms of giving you what you need to help make sure that focus does indeed exist. So in governments, we exist to try and address community needs. That's why we're here. That's why you're engaged in what it is you do in your organization. And the way we do that is we manage performance with a focus on what those needs are. And we try and make sure we're clear about what we're trying to accomplish so that we can go back then and look and make sure that indeed we have moved in the right direction. And we do this in with a long-range perspective. And one of the things that we talk about is, are we achieving the right outcomes? Are the right results occurring in our community based on the activities that we're involved in? And oftentimes these results can be, influenced by a variety of things, but certainly they're also influenced by what we do. And is what we're doing helping to achieve the kinds of results that we know our community is looking for? So we do lots of activities. We produce lots of product. Product can be things like tickets written by a police officer or grass mowed in a park. It can be plans created by a planning department. And those outputs, those products that we produce, are contributing to a safer street where speeds are slower so that the pedestrians in that area can be assured they won't be struck by a vehicle that's going at too high a rate of speed, and other kinds of ways that we connect what we produce to what we're trying to achieve. And this is what we're talking about when we need to think our way through what's commonly called a logic model. How do we sort of connect these activities to what it is we're trying to achieve, and how do we then use that to think our way through the amount of resource we want to devote to these different activities so that we emphasize the right things and end up accomplishing the right results in our community. Now, you already have other planning efforts that are going on in your community that really contribute to this same kind of thinking. And those should certainly be leveraged and aligned. And often it's unfortunate that this isn't the case. So for instance, the comprehensive plan. In Washington State, it's often a land use plan, but many have built it out beyond that. And with the Growth Management Act, there's certainly the opportunity to add levels of service and things of that nature. Is that being used and leveraged so that it lines up with the results you're trying to achieve in your budget? Capital facility plans, which are part of a Growth Management Act comprehensive plan, but typically from more of a long-range general perspective, but that can be extended so that the capital facilities that you're investing in can be directly connected back to how it furthers your comprehensive plan. Levels of service are also something that you see in there as well. Many times governments develop functional area plans, what's typically known as a functional area plan. These can be, say for instance, for a given utility, or maybe for parks. You have a vision for how to evolve your park system, and you develop a park plan. Transportation improvement plans is a really good example of a functional area plan. And these also should be in alignment, at least, if not part of the seed corn, so part of where you start from as you think your way through what you're trying to achieve. Make sure that alignment exists across the organization and that those plans all sort of speak to the same end results so that it's consistent. This again needs to be intentional. It doesn't happen on its own. So it's a conversation that you really need to have in your city hall. Once you have clarity on what you're trying to accomplish, you need to make sure that there's some way to go back and check. Is this really what we're getting? Are the investments we're making in the different kinds of programs that we're operating or the capital facilities that we're building resulting in the kinds of outcomes that our community has identified that they're seeking and that you identified at the beginning of this that were important to you? So you need information, you need reporting tools of some sort. And you need some way to have these conversations. Just the fact that the information exists, but it's not the basis of a conversation, so that you can all sort of check in and make sure that you're in alignment around what it is you think it's telling you, needs to be part of the plan as well. This really is where policy making occurs in the budget process. A lot of times we focus on the financials, and I think the finances are an important part of it, but we certainly want to be financially responsible. But what is it that we're using these resources for, and what is it really accomplishing? A policymaker really has an opportunity to make a difference. By thinking about it from this perspective, you'll find it much more rewarding, I think, from a policy perspective, and certainly then allowing the administration part of the organization to deal with the more mundane parts, the financial accountability as well, which is also important. A common way to get feedback about what the community thinks in terms of how we're doing in accomplishing these results is through surveys. So again, you need some form of reporting, and one of those forms can easily be a survey. And surveys oftentimes can be used to inform a budget at the beginning by what's important. What kinds of things does the community think we should be investing in? And then along with that, during the budget period or at the conclusion, is this what you think you saw? And they can be done in a variety of ways, and they don't have to be elaborate or expensive. And there's a number of models where you can make it more affordable by leveraging the efforts of others as well. But a survey is an important tool to get feedback from the citizens and the community that we're working to serve and to provide these results for.